Can I unmute myself, that's all.
Unmute.
Yeah, so we should be good to go now.
Yeah.
Can you
Try and unmute.
no, I've unmuted myself. Right. Can everyone hear online on the Zoom? Iona, can you nod if you can hear?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Exeter Community Energy's annual general meeting 2024. We have a number of people on Zoom joining us via the laptops and the camera mounted on the tripod over here, and we have now 20 people here, so that's great. Thank you ever so much for everyone for taking the time to come along this evening. We checked. We are for it, are we? We are happy we are for it. So that's great news. There's no frantic phone calls required. Right. It's the same procedure as the previous years. We are going to work through agree the minutes from the AGM from last year. We have sections from various parts of the organisation presenting sort of a summary of what we've done over the last year. And then we have presentation of the accounts, voting, and then any of the new directors. And then we've got some awards at the end. At this point, I think it's right to let people know that unfortunately one of our colleagues in the organisation's passed away recently, and Harry's going to say a few words.
Oh yeah, so I don't know who would have known Andy Cook. Does the name ring a bell with people? Just a couple of nods. Yeah, I guess people were a bit removed maybe from our day-to-day work in the room, but Andy Cook was an essential part of ECOE, and at a very young age, around 50, he sadly had a stroke and passed away last week. So it's really, really sudden. He had a stroke 2 weeks ago and passed away last week. So just wanted to say, you know, that, and say that when we get the centre open, when we're due to open the centre, we'll try and do a proper ceremony for him. The condolences and the warm words have come in from, you know, far and wide. He's not been just essential to ECOE and our retrofit team, especially developing the retrofit service in ECOE, but also the retrofit kind of ecosystem in the whole of Devon. We've received warm words from you know, all our partners that he's worked with. He's been really the right voice. People refer to him as what they think the industry needs. You know, his approach to things, he was always going beyond what was needed for people. He was trying to give right advice to people, and he was just a really kind, generous, supportive man, and he'll be greatly missed. So just wanted to brief everyone on that.
So thanks, Harry. Okay. Are we happy? If I can get to the next slide. Right. So yeah. So here we got the agenda. How taking of attendance. So I think we've been checking out as people have come in. We've got people listed on Zoom, so we're happy with that. Information on voting procedures. Only members can vote. Anything else you need to know? We're quorate, and only members can vote. So if you're not a member of ECOE, please don't vote. Lovely. Right. Agreeing the 2023 AGM minutes. Are people happy with the minutes from last year's AGM? We need a seconder. Lovely. Thank you so much. Okay. Eric, thank you. Do we have a second?
just launching the poll.
Oh, lovely.
As well.
So the people online get a vote, yes or no?
But only the members.
Only members, please. Right, we have a vote. The lovely, thank you so much. Thank you.
Voting.
Voting, so excellent. Exact numbers. Yes.
So I guess in favour and against, isn't it?
12, 4 here. I'll be getting
You can ask if anybody's going to vote against.
is anyone going to vote? Have you got the anyone would like to vote against the meeting minutes? The AGM minutes? No. How's the poll looking online?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's unanimous.
Fine. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Right, so we're going to present our work that we've done over the financial year 23-24. So I think in previous years we had a February, January end of year, and 2 or 3 years ago we switched that to the traditional March, April to March financial year. So I've just put a quick slide together because I happened to be at a policy webinar for community energy only last week. So one of our former directors, Prina Samari, who works for Region, put this together. So it's not my work. I've just proceeded and fitted it onto one page. So obviously we've got new government. They've come in with lots of new ideas of how they want to change things, and 3 of the key areas that can impact on community energy around the GB energy approach. The regional energy strategic planner. This is how the energy is being planned and transmission, and how we connect the generators with the consumers and things like that, and how that's going to look strategically in the long term. And then they're also, of course, they're going to do away with the onshore wind ban, and they've set up a task force to look at that, all the implications around that. I'm not necessarily going to elaborate here. There are documents that we can point you to if you want to learn more about that. What I was going to say was around the onshore wind is that they may remove the ban on onshore wind, but there are still constraints in the transmission system to actually get, if you were to put a wind turbine, you actually get that wind turbine then connected into the grid. So there is a community energy group in the heart of Devon, in Orchard Bishop, I think it is. They've done some work looking at the feasibility of getting a wind turbine put up there. And they've been given multiple year wait for connection to the grid because of the constraints on the wider grid. So hence a little bit why there's this task force being set up, I think, to try and understand and tease out some of those issues regarding more onshore wind onto the grid. Any questions on policy? No one online? Sweet. Right. Do we have, is James?
James isn't online yet, but Rachel is in the room.
Right. Rachel, are you there? Do you want to talk to some of the numbers? Oh, right. Oh, here you are, Rachel. Are you happy to talk to the slide?
I can do. I can't read it from my phone.
Come on up.
We have a camera.
Oh, turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. Yes.
Some of them.
Yes. Okay.
So I have recently taken over from Margaret doing the O&M for ECOE.
O&M meaning?
Sorry?
O&M meaning?
Oh, operations and maintenance. My role also is project managing PV4. So that's what I've mainly been doing. So I was asked to prepare the slide for this event, and I was pretty much kind of just following the pattern that had been set by Margaret. So looking at the generation, we're down about 5% at the moment on our sites. That is pretty much mostly down to last year being a lot more clement and sunnier than the lovely weather that we've had this year. And coupled up with the anticipated depreciation that slowly happens on the solar panels, that -5 may look like it's a depressing because we're going the wrong way, but actually when you compare it to year 21-22, that was much more typical in terms of sunshine hours. We haven't pushed it that much. Revenue, we have gone up 24%. And again, I said the previous year didn't include some payments for Beacon and West Bank, which are 2 of the sites. They hadn't come in when the report was done. So we may look slightly down on generation, massively up on revenue, but there's some kind of caveats within that.
Inflation rates and some of the
Well, it's mostly because
both sides.
in 22-23, the totals for Beacon and West Bank weren't included.
All right.
And carbon saving, obviously, it kind of matches up the drop in generation. There's been a reduction, and people are far more educated than I am about the algorithm or calculating the carbon saving. There's been some terms around that have changed as well, so we're probably not quite comparing like on like. I'm still kind of learning about that, and perhaps I'd love to speak to David. I think maybe.
Yes, well, me.
Yeah.
So the 22-23, that was reflected a little bit around the increased use of coal and gas because of the Ukraine war and the disruption to the energy system across Europe. For that, there was a higher carbon last year. Fine.
Anyone got any questions on that?
One thing you haven't given us is the install capacity. It was generated, but whether is there some figures to give us as to how much area of how much capacity generation?
So I've only recently taken over from Margaret. So all I know is that I've started looking at whether there are any issues with any of the sites and how many panels may be out or not. And
so yeah, we're not be using that. So it's, yeah,
cool.
So the number's like about 430 kilowatts installed.
Has that changed your year?
So that's not so that's installed capacity. That doesn't change. That's your number of panels that we have. We haven't taken any panels down or had any damage, but it wouldn't necessarily be damage. Some of the sites do experience some of the panels going down and things like that, and we work to try and repair those. Effectively, the total number of panels has remained constant since they were all installed. Is that kind of where you were? So that number, the installed capacity won't really change unless we've got a new site.
So if it's installed but not working, we're counting it?
Yes. That will be our total capacity. What if it's not working? That will impact the generation number here.
So we're not including, if it's not working, we don't include it in the generation. These are generation figures taken off our meter readings. There isn't a huge amount of panels down. There are a couple, 1 or 2, mostly around optimizers. But yeah, we kind of work to replace those when it becomes economically sensible to do that in terms of scaffolding, etc. So we were both right answering no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Rachel. Any more questions? No, super. We'll keep moving along. Healthy homes.
Hi, I'm Matthew Axe. I'm the operations manager for Healthy Homes. So I'm one or 2 of you, but a few of you may not know me. 23-24, we saw some significant developments for the Healthy Homes project. We were able to access funds become available largely because we could demonstrate our previous achievements in helping field poor residents. Funding partners range from local authorities to some national schemes, and it's this that allowed us to increase the quantity of outreach, as in the number of events and clinics you see there. And it's the model of working closely with these local referrers that really gives us the access to some of the most vulnerable and fuel poor households locally. At the same time, we had an increase in funding that LEAP had nationally for home visits. So we could take that connection that we built further into actually an increase of 96% in our home visits, which was quite, a big step forward. And we were able to start up 3 local care partnership projects in 3 districts, which is working with patients that have, moment these have been patients that have respiratory illnesses, and these projects funded separate home visits or energy advice for those residents. So the biggest development of the year was actually gaining a £992,000 grant from Wales and West Utilities up until March 26. And this money we can use to develop both our services, but also develop our team. And it's already had impact that we've got a back office team now that support the home energy advisors that are actually going out and doing the visits, and the community engagement team. And further to that, it's allowing us to actually really plan and go forward with hosting an energy advice centre in a physical building, which is something we've never been able to do. All our work has been home working and going to visit clients in homes or in community centres. There's a real leap forward in what we're trying to do. I think that's something that's going to get.
Yeah, so we've got a slide later in the deck
so yeah,
about that.
So yeah, I think that's pretty well covered everything. Got any questions? I'll certainly attempt to answer them. One,
just do you want to, so you mentioned LEAP. I'm not sure if everybody would understand what that is. Would you mind just explaining what that is?
So the Local Energy Action Partnership is a national scheme. There's actually a company at the core of it, but they access money from energy suppliers, and they have a defined kind of list of advice that you should give at home visits. So they've got a structure, and our advisors use their app that they provide, and they provide a few sorts of things. But we can, at the same time, by having that access for paid home visit, that's national money that's drawn from energy suppliers, in seeing the client, we can sometimes come across other things that we have local funding for. So again, it's that kind of combination. But yeah, the LEAP is certainly a good way of opening the door, should we say. So it's really important.
So it's a big funder as well as providing a lot of other opportunities. And
yeah.
Have you decided where the events or clinics are going to be held?
It's a combination through the community engagement team. We also ask as well our energy advisors to just look around, look for community centres. But as we've got so well known, quite a few sort of tend to come to us. It's a sort of mutual kind of relationship. So we will spot venues. I mean, we'll spot village hall. We sort of say, well, actually, what's going on in this village? So that's all part. It's very proactive kind of thing that we do. And in some areas, it's already pretty well known. So they're regular events, but it might be we can hold more events.
Good, thanks,
Yeah.
Matthew.
Thank you.
No.
Hello, so I'm Harry. I'm project manager for the Retrofit advice service, which is sort of actually 3 distinct parts of the work. Am I in the shot?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So the Retrofit service is kind of younger than the Healthy Homes team. So the retrofit service is been going for a few years on government grant funded Hug 2 schemes, and before that the LAD scheme, which is for those houses that are in the kind of in fuel poverty, and also the home is meets certain criteria, so has a low energy performance certificate or off gas grid. So that's been kind of ticking along for a couple of years. So we've had retrofit assessors and retrofit coordinators who have been part of our team. But since last kind of autumn time, we started to launch our 2 other projects. So one is the Able to Pay service, which is trying to do detailed home assessments for people so that they can have a series of scenarios created as to how to best reduce carbon emissions and transition to clean energy in their homes. So the numbers, so that's this top one up here. So we've completed 29 of those detailed assessments since October 23. And then, as I was saying, the other project that we've been doing is this one, the LEAD project. We've been very fortunate to receive funding from the government for that, for a 2-year project, although there was a slight delay on it starting, which has allowed us to provide sort of this middle ground between the government grant funded criteria that are doing the works in people's houses and they're able to pay service up there. This middle ground is kind of a light touch retrofit advice home visit. So people aren't getting a detailed report, with all the measures and, doing detailed data driven calculations, but it's allowing our team of retrofit assessors to go out for an hour, 90 minutes per visit, and deliver, an advice service in their home, walking around their home and kind of indicating what might be sensible measures for them to pursue themselves. So all the services are, they're still developing. We're trying to understand what is the right price point for our whole house plans, and we're trying to understand whether there's a kind of whole house plan light is what we're terming it at the moment, or an EPC plus kind of service that is maybe a bit more affordable and is able to kind of tie the bridge between the government grant schemes and the able to pay market when this fund ends, which will end in March this 2025, or April 2025, I should say. And that's it. So any questions on the retrofit side of service?
Can anybody request an assessment?
Yeah, so for the LEAD visits, anyone can have a visit, and an assessor will come around, and it's, as I say, it's kind of an informal hour, 90-minute visit and a kind of follow-up email on to discuss the steps that you would have discussed in that visit. Whereas this one is a sort of £600 plus price point for a detailed home assessment, which and scenario report, which goes into details about rough costs, carbon savings, level of disruption, the order you can pair things together, what you might need planning permission for, where you might need to seek architectural support. It's to help people really thinking about, we've kind of got 2 audiences, those that are kind of deep greens, people that really just want to reduce their carbon, and then others that are maybe just moved into a property or thinking about doing a major refurbishment project.
Well, that was a similar question.
Yeah.
How do they find you?
How do they find us?
Yes.
So we've been doing events. We tag in onto the back of the Healthy Homes Teams events, and we've also been planning our own events with slightly different audiences. I think that's a question about how we find our groups. So we've done talks at a Rent Smart event, which is targeted at landlords. We've done. We were at the Build It Live show, which was at Exeter West Point a couple of weeks ago. Had a really successful event in Heathertree. So we've gone to events. Someone
if someone's watching this, they could contact.
Yeah, it's the retrofit at ecoadvice.org.uk. It's the contact email if you're interested in these services. Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that there's still kind of a bit of a skills gap in terms of the people that you need to do this and meet the demand that's out there?
It's very good. It's definitely the great thing about this project here, the LEAD project, is it's a development funding. So we're in consortium with 5 other community energy organisations across the county, and we are trying to establish how to meet the market needs, because it's not straightforward. And in terms of our capacity internally, we've obviously been really affected by Andy's death last week, which we do have another member of the team who might be able to take on his work, but at the moment that's all still kind of settling. So it's unsure at the moment. We've got enough capacity, I think, but we also are trying to understand where the product is going. So we've got enough capacity to meet our current funding needs, but the service is developing as well. We are looking to recruit into Torbay, that would be. Yeah. So, yeah.
Once you produce this report and the householder decides to get the work done,
yeah,
do you provide a list of people who do that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we partnered with an architecture firm called Studio Skane, which are based in Plymouth, and we've referred kind of done a handover meeting with 3 of these clients, and that's one professional service. We do have a few contractors which we can say that we've worked with previously, but for insurance purposes and whatnot, we can't kind of recommend them. So it is a kind of perennial question as to how we're going to not just ask all the community energy organisations, how we can build an ecosystem of installers, and whether we're going to feel confident ever to be able to recommend, or whether we're just kind of saying these are some installers we work with, but we recommend you get 3 quotes, and you look at Trustmark and you look at these kind of other national bodies that help you decide. So the way I see our service is that it's kind of preparing people to ask the right questions of installers. It's if they've got this advice, whether that's very detailed or kind of more informal, it's allowing people to be informed when they're going to contractors and installers. But yeah, it is definitely a difficult landscape with installers. They're not trained up well enough. There's a big skills gap in things, and the ones that are very busy. So it's a part of the puzzle which we'll have to try and address. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. Yeah. I think it's that trust we have and the work we're doing with the Healthy Homes. We're not selling that install work. I think that gives us, that's the position that ECOE retrofit teams can fit in. But then when you want to get to that stage of doing the work, then you have to somehow work our way around. Lovely, thanks for that. PV4, Rachel. Thank you.
So PV4 is what is the part of ECO that I've been thinking the most within. I started back in March 23. Back there in March, we had just under 15,000 of REACH funding. And I identified some potential sites with Exeter College. Unfortunately, as is the kind of the way when you're starting to look at construction sites and solar sites, not all of those have remained feasible. We are still talking to them about one of the sites, which would be for about just over 80 kilowatt rooftop solar array, but it's dependent upon their own development plans for that site. They are considering going up and putting all the floors on their building. So while they decide they're going to do feasibility for that, it's kind of a bit of a stall on that potential site. We've also been exploring other sites such as Barnfield, one of the schools, St. Peter's, but to date there hasn't one that's hit the right sweet point of self-consuming enough for it to be viable for eco, or hasn't had lease issues or other issues that make that site not acceptable for our business model. We put in an application to Community Energy Fund for a ground mount solar array, working with a large statutory body with the NHS in Langdon, which is just outside Dawlish. This is quite an exciting new area. It's the first time that NHS estates are engaging in this way with a community organisation. So it could be quite groundbreaking, and certainly Community Energy Fund were quite excited about it as a project. We've secured just under 40,000, and that is covering our feasibility work. At the moment, I'm in the middle of doing that along with our consultants, Share Energy. Originally, they wanted 3.63 megawatt, which was never really going to be probably in our capacity. And when we visited the site and been talking to the hospital, actually to hit around 45, the 75 sweet spot self-consumption for us, there are two smaller sites we've identified, which would be between about 350 to 475 kilowatts. It would be both, it's one or the other. At the moment, I'm just going through some land classification issues and talking to the local planning authority to decide which of the two sites is better. We're constantly looking for other rooftop arrays that have the right kind of consumption for us. Talking to two community organisations in Tiverton, but it's quite hard to sometimes extrapolate all the information that we really need. So these are ongoing. And likewise, we're also talking to some other stores, to one in Exeter as well. And the share issue document is now out, going for its standard mark. And we should have that back before Christmas. But obviously we need to make sure that we've fully secured sites before we then do the share issue. So that's where we're up to with PB4. Has anyone got any questions?
I just wondered, you may have gone over this a little bit, but what was the reason that 3.3 megawatts was not possible? Is there something that we could do in the future that would make that more?
Yes, well, for our business model, it doesn't really work because most of that would be going to the grid. And so that would then get us into grid connection as well. Yes, exactly. Sorry, I didn't explain very well. So really, at 475, the hospital would be self-consuming that at about 75%. And we'd also go straight into their distribution board and avoid having to go for a DNO connection. So we wouldn't get caught up in this kind of traffic jam of people wanting to connect to the grid.
400. So for the question you had earlier, 475 would effectively doubling Community Energy's installed capacity.
Have we got any further questions?
Sorry, Rachel. How do the finances work? Because we don't get the feed-in tariff on these new projects anymore. That all ended in 2019. So slightly different business model required. Yes, so that's down to a power purchase agreement, which will be part of the lease. So it's about a discussion between ECO and the leaseholder, and we do a financial modelling, and it all depends on what the current leaseholder is paying for their site, as to what kind of level of reduction we can give them. Ideally, we're kind of looking to reduce their energy costs by about 10%. But again, it obviously depends on what they're currently contracted.
So that's a really important part of the discussion, because if they're already getting a really good deal and it's not a huge solar array, then we're probably getting right to the edge of what we, how much we could offer them as a production. Okay.
Thank you. No questions from in the chat or anything? Okay.
A request that speakers introduce themselves when they come up, because not everybody can see the video from the room.
Fine. Community Fund, Emma.
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm Emma Swarath. I'm a volunteer director here at ECOE. I took over the management of the community fund last year from Karina, who was doing it previously. So I did it this year, and I will continue to do it moving forward. So just as a bit of a recap, over the past 7 years, Exeter Community Energy have been running the community fund, and we have given a total of £36,381 worth of grants out. And this has been to 38 local organisations within Exeter and the surrounding area. And they've been used to support a wide range of projects, from improving energy efficiency to running workshops and a real range of initiatives. Next slide, please. So as a summary of where the money went this year, we ended up giving £9,549 last year, and these were to 4 organisations. We had Exeter Community Centre, which got just over £3,000, Burley Nursery, which had exactly 5,000, Love Food CIC, which had 1,000, and then Pippin's Community Centre, which had just over £500. And you can see the range of initiatives that they were used to fund. So we've got enhancing installation in the community centre at Exwick. We've got installing new heating systems and radiators in the nursery. We've got some funds to run cookery sessions, looking at affordable and healthy meals and using minimal electricity for Love Food. And then at Pippin's, it was to fund installing secondary glazing to some of their windows. And then this is a lovely picture of Happy Trevor at Exeter Community Centre with Andy. That's just a brief recap of where the money went this year. Next slide, please. So this is looking forward. So we're committing to giving away at least £5,000 this year in the community fund, and we're going to follow the same application process that we did in the previous year. So that is around about now. We're having our internal kick-off around processes, making sure that the documents are up to scratch and that we're all happy with everything internally. And then we'll be launching this, like last year, in November, to make sure that everybody knows that it's coming, how they can apply, and how they can apply, with a application deadline of December. I think it was just before Christmas last year. Then internally, we do some marking and moderation to make sure that everything is fair and auditable. And then in February, we announce the outcomes for everybody, like those that are successful and those that are unsuccessful. That's what's to come, if anyone's interested. And also, when we do post it, it'd be very useful if anybody can share online or let their local connections know, so that we can reach as many people as possible when it is live. That's it on the community fund. Anyone has any questions?
Is there a reason that we have a deadline within a month or so, as opposed to having something that's an ongoing option through the year?
Just so we can make it fair to mark the submissions. We get varying levels of interest each year, but I think we had 10 or 11 applications last year, and it's just so that we can mark them all against the same assessment criteria and make sure that somebody doesn't come in and gobble up all the money and then there isn't any left for everybody else. We can do it in a tranche, but we can consider doing 2 a year potentially, but at the moment, yeah, it's just 1 due to the volume of applications we get. But we've been quite consistent with the timing, so people should hopefully know when it's coming, and we don't change the application process drastically year on year, so they should know what to expect. It's supposed to be as straightforward as possible so that it's accessible to everybody.
Fantastic, thank you.
No, thanks, Emma. Iona, are you ready? You're on mute. Oh,
Sorry, I muted you again. That's my bad.
are you in control of the microphone?
No.
Try now.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
You're gonna have
Yes,
to bring,
we
you-
can.
you're
We
gonna have
can
to
hear you.
bring her up on the screen though. Unless
Oh.
or we do. If you bring up Zoom, we should be able to see both, I think.
Can you see slides?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just go on. My name is Iona Elliott. I'm a finance director of Exeter Community Energy. The accounts for this financial period to 31st March 2024 show surplus of £176,318. This has increased the surplus of a profit and loss account reserve of £15,419 at the start of the period to a surplus of £191,000 at the end of the period. This surplus is after taking account of a proposed 5% interest payment on member shares. There has been an increase in turnover in the year of 133%, increasing total turnover from 429,000 last year to £999,707 this year. The increase in turnover was driven largely by the Healthy Homes for Wellbeing project. ECOE cash flow has remained positive during the year. ECOE will continue to seek to use surplus funds to repay share capital and medium-term loan investments. The directors target repayment of share capital at 5% per annum. A reserve of £42,700 has been allocated for this purpose. The called-up share capital for the current period is £309,400. During the fiscal year 2023-24, £13,500 of share capital was repaid. I believe that members received a copy of the financial statements, which were signed by various parties just today, and you're mostly welcome to go ahead and ask me more questions about financial statements. Thank you.
Thanks, Iona.
You've got to come back.
Oh yeah, so we have got some hard copies here on site. Any questions on the finances for anyone? You've got off lightly, Iona. Anyone online? Else online? No? Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Iona.
Thank you.
Right. The exciting part of the evening. Right. Voting one is approve the director's recommendation to pay shareholder interest of 5% for the year ending 31st of March 2024. Do we just go doing it first or just vote it? Do we need a proposer and a seconder and then a vote? Or we just
That's
go
the
straight
usual.
to vote? Yes.
I propose that we approve that.
Thank you. Right.
So vote.
Vote members only. Oh, very keen.
Are you counting?
I'm trying to. 1, 2, 3, 4. $18. Yeah, in the room.
And 7 online.
Okay. Anyone against? Paying you 5%. There's no against. Fantastic. Right. Task 2, approve the accounts for the year ending 31st of March 2024.
Yeah.
Emma to propose, Stephen to second.
Hands in favour?
Hands in favour. $18 in the room.
6 online. Sorry if somebody didn't expect that.
Do we need to tell you anyone against the accounts? Thanks, Emma. Maybe Harry in that. That's a no and against. Agree for the accounts not to be audited.
I don't know whether this might need to be clarified.
Yes.
Essentially, the auditing process is actually quite a long and involved process. As long as we're happy with the accounts being correct, and there's no concerns, the director's feeling was that we wouldn't need to audit them, and it would be a bit of an unnecessary time and expense. But that is for the members to decide, not just for ourselves.
Yeah. Iona, is there anything else you wanted to add to that explanation around?
Yes, I don't know who explained that, but this is absolutely, this is correct information. The accounts were not audited. They are examined by 2 chartered accountants. This is a very high level of assurance for them to be correct. And there is no legal requirement for them to be audited unless members would decide so.
Excellent. Does that help answer the question? Help another question?
The idea of the cost, possible cost of auditing.
Do we know an estimated cost, Iona, to audit the accounts?
I cannot answer this question. I would think it would be.
Sorry, Iona.
That's what, sorry?
I just muted you, Iona. That's really bad.
She was about to say, tell us the magic number.
Oh, we never inquired. There was never an inquiry to audit them. I cannot answer this question because we would need to speak to auditors.
Okay, so no, we.
You don't know essentially.
Yeah, we have. Well, I don't think we've always chosen as directors recommended not to audit them, but I guess we haven't gone out and found out how much would be to audit the account. Rachel?
You might need to repeat that for the.
So Rachel, you're saying auditing is.
If your revenue is under 2 million, it's around usually about 1%.
So under 2 million of revenue, it's typically 0.5% of the revenue. So we were presenting revenue of almost 1 million. That's a 50k.
Right.
That's a ballpark number. Does that help answer the question? I guess we haven't gone out and got a full quote, but
I misunderstood something that was said earlier. I thought you or somebody said directors decided against the audit on the grounds of cost. But if you're not clear what cost is, then it's hard to see how that works.
So we were aware that there would be a cost. We didn't know the exact cost. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to be as much as it's just been suggested it could be. But it was partly the issue of cost, but it was partly the issue of complication. We knew there would be a cost. It wasn't so much that the directors decided, as far as I'm aware, it's always been voted in accordance with that by the members. But that is our recommendation as directors, given the likely cost, the extra time it takes to have the accounts audited. Unless there are concerns by anyone about whether our accounts need auditing, then it does seem to be an expense.
it's something we could certainly look at.
Yeah.
I guess we could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just one more question.
Yeah, I think it's important that we assure that the accounts are examined by a suitably qualified person.
Yes.
As I think Iona was saying.
I think so. I think. Correct me, Iona. 2 qualified accountants, certified accountants, have gone through the accounts. already.
The financial statements are signed by 2 chartered accountants and an external accountant.
Yeah. So we have had that level of certification done. What we haven't done is then go for the additional auditing.
There are a couple of comments online. So long as the accounts are independently inspected, there is no need for an audit. Audit is more costly, but only an accountant would notice the difference. That's from our member, John Anderson.
Okay. Okay, any more questions?
Can I just ask,
Oh.
are the independent examiners given a remuneration, a small, thank you for doing this? Because that's what I would do on a much smaller thing.
I think there is we pay for the accountant's time.
Exactly.
I know, right? The accountants get, they charge a fee for their work. It's not
We do charge a fee, but this is the legal requirement of a cooperative society to have an external accountant to sign the accounts.
So yeah, so there's a requirement that we get external accountants to sign our financial statement or accounts, but we pay them for that work. Yeah. Good, right. I need a proposer and a seconder for our accounts not to be audited. Stephen's proposed.
I'll second.
Lovely, thank you.
Sheila Swarbrick.
And who is in favour of not auditing the accounts? In the room. And against? Against? No against. All right. Final excitement. Approve director's recommendation to pay £5,000 for it's out the bags. Approve director's recommendation to pay £5,000 from the solar PV surplus, plus such other amounts as are decided by the directors into the community fund. So, as Emma was alluding to earlier, we've recommended £5,000, and that is what we're going to vote on. Any? Jen to propose, seconder, Emma, vote. $17 in the room.
I haven't set up a poll for this one, I'm afraid.
Oh.
So I'm inviting votes in the chat.
Thumbs up for a yes and a...
Well, exactly. So, yeah, so the other amounts is, I think it mostly refers to, so there's a comment about such other amounts.
Yes.
It's very open-ended. I think that, yeah, the point is that 5,000 is a minimum, and actually quite a lot of what goes into the community fund is interest donated by members. So it does end up being quite a lot larger, as we saw.
Right. Yes.
Last year it was about 9,000. So yeah,
there's 5,000. Effectively, it's 5,000 of the minimum, and then there's yeah.
Okay. So one vote in favour. I think it's most important that people let us know if they're opposed. So, but I think
anyone against paying £5,000 community fund? There's no one in the room. Okay. Happy, Andy?
Yeah.
You close the poll, please.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to close it.
No, it's my bad. No, it's me.
Right. We've had some new directors. We've also had a few directors leaving. So I think in previous years we've kind of had a voting of
You have to elect them.
re-elect directors. This year, because a certain number of directors have left. We haven't, don't need to go through that process. We've chosen not to go through that process, but here are our 4 directors that have joined us through the last year, through 2024, I think, Stephen. Yeah. I mean, alphabetically. So we've got Jen. Jen joined us most recently, I think. Yeah. I don't know if you want to say anything. Or
Do you want me to?
Don't have to. No. We've got Peter. He's secretary.
I think it would be nice if
Oh
you
yeah,
introduce
yes,
yourself.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
He wants it, yes, come on.
Okay. Thanks. Hello, I'm Jen Cook. I'm a lawyer. I specialise in corporate and commercial work for public sector organisations. At the moment, I work in-house for a local authority, and yeah, looking forward to bringing some maybe some crossover from my other professional life into this role. So nice to meet you all. You've got to do it now.
Yeah, Peter Dempsey. Hello, everyone. I've joined as secretary, trying to pick up the sterling work that David has been doing. Yeah, I'm working with Bristol City Council at the moment. I'm a contract project manager delivering Mission Net Zero. So looking at sort of higher level sort of strategies and plans for decarbonising Bristol. I'm working with the Bristol opposite number of organisations, Bristol Energy Network, in Bristol. So
Thanks, Peter. Stephen, I think is James online?
James is online, but should we do Stephen?
Go on, Stephen. Come on, yeah.
Okay. So yes, hello everyone. I'm Stephen. I work as a work coach at Torquay Job Centre, and I only became aware of ECO last year when they came and did their Healthy Homes presentation to make us aware as staff at the job centre of all the sterling work that they were doing. Obviously, because we work with people who are claiming universal credit, for the most part, we're working with people who very likely are facing some level of fuel poverty. So we do a lot to try and funnel people towards healthy homes and to the work they give. There's a lot of the people who are on universal credit, honestly, who know a lot of stuff about how to keep their homes in as efficient a way as possible, simply because they have no alternative. But a lot of them have benefited tremendously from the work that ECO has done. So I was significantly impressed enough in that when I found out at the beginning of this year that ECO were looking for more voluntary directors, I jumped at the chance. So I'm bringing mostly just a bundle of enthusiasm for what we do, especially when it comes to just getting a lot more renewable energy online, but also getting a lot more energy into public use that isn't putting profits into the hands of billionaires and oil company shareholders and all the rest. It's actually going back into the community, which is a key part of my ethos when it comes to energy.
Thanks, Stephen.
Sure. And James is online, but he's moving house tomorrow and has a 3-year-old screaming in the background.
Okay.
Running riot, sorry, I misquoted. So, but he has an energy and sustainability background and is focusing on our existing solar operations and supporting our new projects. So.
Thank you to all 4 of you for joining the organisation.
We have to elect them.
Oh, we have to elect them.
So we have to do the whole proposal and voting thing for everybody.
Can we do them as job lots?
Yes.
Okay, well, fine. I've got polls for each of them individually, but we could, if I suppose we probably need a motion to agree to change the agenda under normal ways of running a meeting.
I'd like to put forward a motion to elect all 4 together as one.
Okay.
It is only 7.1 on this agenda. It's not 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4.
Okay, fine. Don't listen to me. And we'll do it just as one poll then, as a job poll.
Right.
And it'll say, well, hey, fine, carry on.
Yes. Do we have a proposer for for new directors.
Can I be a proposer for?
I will, Andy.
Oh, sorry.
Erica.
Directors, I would propose.
Lovely, thank you.
What's your name?
Erica.
Erica Eden.
Yes.
Lovely.
And I'll second
You
it.
second it, right. Vote.
And the online is for everybody, not just Jen.
Okay. Online is, yeah, okay.
You're not allowed to vote.
One, two, three, four. $15.
Their members.
They can still vote.
And they can vote for themselves.
Or not. Anyone against? Anyone against?
As long as we don't vote again.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Are we happy with that, Andy?
Yeah. I'll just do. Yeah, it was 5 online as well, but that I can see so far.
Right, it's all right. We're getting close to the end.
Just to show that.
Right. So, Matthew alluded to this earlier, and we have shared some information around the energy services and moving all of our energy services work to a charity. So we have. Hopefully, this isn't new to people. We have shared it through our email newsletters and things like that. So I've just picked up some of the highlights from that communication. I've also dropped in a photo I took on Sunday from the RAM, looking across the road at the property that we have signed the lease for our energy advice centre. So it's currently the Whitton line. Yeah, thanks, Jen. So it's the Whitton line. It's like second or third on Queen Street. It's literally opposite the RAM, and that is going to be our energy advice centre where the team can work, the healthy homes work, and the retrofit.
What's it going to be called?
Good question.
I know. You guys know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulse.
So yeah, so the charity's been working, and Pulse is the word they've come up with. Future down the line, so it's going to be a Pulse Exeter, but they've already been asked to do one in Torbay. So there'll be a Pulse Torbay. So they've got some ideas of how it's going to be sort of moved down. Again, that depends on the funding that comes through. What I guess is important to know the 2 points here around the renewable energy generation assets, the solar PV that are on the rooftops, which was the reason why Exeter Community Energy was set up in the first place, through a share offering of the capital to install those assets on the rooftops. That remains in the current organisation. There's no change. It's that generation of profit, or the profit rather the surplus that comes from that generation of selling that power back to the building users. That will continue. That's the same. The business model hasn't changed. That will continue to supply the money for the shared 5% we put forward for this time, and supporting the community fund. All of the grant funded work that is going to move into the charity because they can access even more funding and do even more with it. So Tara and the team with Matt and Harry, I mean, they've done a fantastic job. They've won a contract, £900,000 over 2 years. But there are other contracts that sit behind that. That's Wales and West Utility, there's British Gas, other funding. that they're able to now they've been able to tap into to increase their reach and the impact that they can have. So hopefully, maybe next year we can have an AGM in our own property. Or maybe even before then, we could have our 10th year celebration anniversary that we have overlooked this year in the venue.
Are they?
Any questions?
Well, did you say it was going to be called Pulse Exeter?
So the word pulse.
Yeah, but then that last point, reasons, partners and residents. Tell us at the Exeter.
Exactly. So this is the this will be the Exeter.
Not have Exeter. I will say Exeter and area. Because it is a
yes,
barrier.
yes. I think the distinction that that's some of the discussions internally. I think that was then distinguished from the fact that they have, or because of what they've been able to do and what they're planning to do, they've kind of sold this to Torbay. Torbay are really interested in. So then there's potential that they get a base in the Torbay area. So there might be an excellent, yeah.
I understand that, but it does not deal with the fact that currently, when I explain to people it's ill on a quorum, that Exeter Community, whatever,
yes,
covers our area.
Yes,
they are surprised and wouldn't have dreamt of having anything to do with it because it says Exeter.
Right.
And so I am quite concerned that you're now going to continue with that name.
Yeah, okay, well, so
think about it.
Yes.
You haven't decided.
No, so I think it would probably be labelled as Pulse as the centre. The Climate Action Hub is the charity that we're working with for that. So that's all part of the Exeter Community Alliance that we are part of. You know, Matthew.
Yeah, it helps understand that. I mean, we're still the Healthy Homes project, and we'll be under an eco advice brand working Pulse.
So they're like, so they're located. Yeah.
I'm just still concerned that you have to call it Exeter to distinguish it from Torbay, and it's a barrier. You said it yourself.
I think the Torbay is quite recent. Torbay thing.
Yeah,
but it's now becoming apparent that it's a valid kind of option, and that will almost solve because the area where we struggled was actually largely Torbay and Cambridge. People in their residents in those areas thought they were just extra.
Yeah, but the rest of Mid-Devon don't have nothing to do with them. After all, Tiverton is our district council. Exeter is a separate town city council.
Yeah.
We don't have in Mid-Devon. This is not an area. Exeter is not an area that covers us.
Yeah. The main brand of the project. Advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So I guess we're getting. No, appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
The centre will be Pulse. All of the work that Matthew and Harry's team will still be covered by the eco branding, right?
I understand it. Just bear it in mind when you're finally deciding as to whether it is a good idea to tag Exeter on.
Okay. Yes.
Just to the middle paragraphs, that this is a shared process.
Yes.
With the Climate Action Hub and Community Alliance. And they presumably also have some input on the choice of name. So it's a question, what is the sort of final process by which the name will be chosen?
So the charity it'll be run through the charity. So the charity are choosing that name. That the Pulse name has come through from the Climate Action Hub side of the
so the charity will decide on make the final choice of the name.
I believe so, yes. But we've kind of given our.
I don't know if it's that clear that Pulse is the name of the centre of the building where
there's a Wood and Lang, it'll say Pulse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like Eco Advice is the name of Eco's new charity entity, which will be giving the Health and Retrofit projects, but they'll be just based in a building called Pulse, which might become Pulse Exeter, that happens to be on the high street. and then the one in Torbay might be called Torbay because it's in Torbay, but Pulse is the name of the building in the centre where there's lots of people. The Eco Advice is the name of the charity section of Eco that's been set up.
So are there two charities involved then? One is the
no, it's just one charity.
Community Alliance, and one is
No, so there is only one charity involved in the property, and it's the Climate Action Hub Exeter. That charity was set up and only set up to run the Climate Action Hub in Exeter by people from Exeter Community Alliance. So we are dealing directly with the Climate Action. The charity that is Climate Action Hub.
You're becoming a project of that charity, and two of the directors are becoming trustees of that charity.
So yeah, yes, they're able to have a property, and hopefully this is a mutual benefit, right? That we have a property to tackle climate change and all of those discussions around it, and we get a base to run our energy advice services from. We have a property because the work that Tara and the team have done to win the work and the grant funding from Wales and West, British Gas and places.
So my question would be, then in a year's time, when it comes to the accounts, will we be having all the accounts of the healthy homes and the retrofit in these accounts, or will it be two separate accounts and that charity? We are
still working through some of that detail. Yeah, exactly. That it will be a separate charity.
Yeah.
So our accounts will look substantially different.
That's what I thought.
As ECO, as the organisations we're reporting to you.
But you will still give us a report on that work because it's coming.
Yes, so I think these are the details we're still trying to grasp and grapple with, and it's taken most of the year for the directors to try and figure out.
I can attest to that.
Trying to, because there are other organisations like in Plymouth who have multiple organisations under the umbrella of PEC. Let me take PEC as an example. Who you've listened to, we've talked to.
What's PEC mean?
Plymouth Energy Community. We're much simpler than their organisation because we've only got two organisations. But yes, somehow we need to try and keep the control and influence that we can of the charity. Hence the reason for having two directors go across the two trustees. And management committee is set up to manage separately the work that the Climate Action Hub will do through the building called Pulse, and the work that we'll do through our energy advice services, and all the grant funding that comes in to support that is kept completely separate from the
Climate
Action Hub.
Finance will just basically have two funds, one for one.
I think they've set up a separate bank account to manage all the funding that comes in to support that one.
So are we having a vote on this?
There was no plan to have a vote on this, no.
I mean, I think it's a very exciting thing.
Yes.
I really do. I mean, I have now actually become chair of Exeter Community Initiatives,
right?
And we have done the thing for the merger with Magic Carpet, and that is two charities joining.
Yeah.
But I sort of think, one of the Exeter Community Initiative projects has been with Wellbeing Exeter, the community builders, and the whole sort of thing of applying. We were making people redundant. We didn't know. We thought it was going to finish, and then extra funding came in, but it's now being managed by CoLab rather than us, and there's that whole change of the management thing, but the staff are under us payment.
Right.
And so it is that sort of complication, and we're much smaller than having 900,000.
I picked out four of the top reasons why we have. There's all sorts of other reasons that it helps by having all of that work going to charity. Is there, from the sorry, put you guys on the spot. From from the people representatives we have from Healthy Homes and Retrofit. Is there anything you wanted to add to the sort of the conversation around this?
I think your reason number one is for the charity status being able to access something like the Energy Redress Fund, which for those that don't know is the money that's managed by Energy Saving Trust from the fines that the energy some really appalling service.
Right.
We come across this daily. So the fact that that money can then be fed back into health organisations like us is exactly how it should be.
Yeah.
It's pretty important.
Yes.
I expect you're not in a position to exactly answer it yet, but I'm just wondering how much space in that house you'll be using and how you'll be working with other users of that.
So it is for our use as a charity. The charity have taken the lease on for the whole of that building. So
you've got the 3 floors.
So I believe, yes, we've got the 3 floors. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So it's got storage space for the bits and pieces that the Healthy Home team and the Retrofit team that need to store stuff. So it's not in someone's garage. There has been a long and exhaustive search for properties that are available that we can get hold of, that are have been in the right location. So the team, people in the organisation who have been looking at this have deemed the property big enough for the work that we want to do.
You just clarify for me, I'm just being student
That's okay.
here. When you say the charity, which charity are we talking about? Climate Action Hub Exeter charity?
Yes, that is the only charity.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is a little confusing because I had understood that ECOE rights
Yes.
the separating of a charity from the PV. So
Yes, so instead of creating a new charity, we have joined Exeter Community. Exeter.
Shall I jump in?
Go on, Jen. Yes, that's our target.
So we have the company structure. Oh, sorry, I talk a lot with my hands. We have a company structure, and there's the charity that we've been working with. And within the kind of hard legal structures, we've got several different ways we can use the branding. So the intention is that the service will be delivered through that charity legal structure. But there will be services traded under different names. So like we said, with the split of the funds, so there will still be some eco branding in there, and there will be this pulse branding for the property, and there might be some branding from the Climate Action Hub who are doing their own things in there. But they are all kind of trading names of the single legal charitable structure, which is here, and then eco company structure, which is here. And we have some kind of cross-pollination of the governance through the management committees and through the directors, so that those 2 structures have links and are able to share information.
So the question I would ask is, if Climate Action Hub Exeter charity, what is its purposes and what geographical areas is it currently covering? Because that is hard. I would like to think we were restricted, because we ended up with a charity which had different purposes and different geographical areas.
So its objects are currently broad enough and wide enough geographically to meet our needs. The charity may be considering changing them to broaden them even more, but even as they are at the moment, they're sufficiently wide that they meet our requirements.
So even the word Exeter is
no.
The geographical areas.
No.
I think the bit of it that I don't quite understand is climate action house all sorts of activities. How are they going to take place in that building if you're occupying the whole building?
Well, again, the Climate Action Hub is, I believe, an umbrella that takes on these projects and delivers them, and then, when those projects end, stops delivering them, is my understanding.
Exactly. So they will also be wanting to put some of those projects into that house.
Now you're running out of at the end of my word.
Quite possibly, Andy.
I just wonder whether I have some stuff to say about that. I wonder if anybody else from Healthy Homes, etc., wants to jump in.
I could say a little bit, but I don't know if this is what you were about to say.
Well, no, you say it. You go first.
It's a really quite interesting building because what you've got that is another way into the shop, which sort of opens up into the courtyard where Harlequin.
Yeah.
So there's actually two entrances, two shop window fronts, and then upstairs is really quite a very good sized meeting space as well as some offices. So there's a very versatile building.
And so my point was going to be, so for those people online who might not be able to hear that, Matt just said that there's two entrances to the building, so you can go in the front and the back. And what I was going to say is that so ECOE has recruited as a contractor Chris Wood, who was formerly the chair of trustees, well, no, still is the chair of trustees of the Climate Action Hub, and also very deeply involved with Exeter Community Alliance. And he's going to continue working with ECO Advice as it goes forward. So he's both looking after the interests of existing members of the Climate Action Hub and Exeter Community Alliance, as well as working for ECO Advice. So there's a sense of continuity there between the Climate Action Hub as it was and the Climate Action Hub now is in its new form. I hope that kind of helps explain it a little bit. Godfrey's got a question.
Yeah, I'm Godfrey Whitehouse. I've been quite involved in the Climate Action Hub, and there are about 20 or 25 different organisations part of that umbrella. Quite a few of them made use of the premises that had previously over the other side of the town.
Yeah.
Not in terms of having permanent locations in there. They were able to use the facility for meetings and thing.
Yeah.
As the Climate Action Hub, we also operated a drop-in area where people could walk in and just basically ask what's all this about.
Yeah.
Those are the primary activities. There are a number of other organisations that had meetings there, Extinction Rebellion, one or two other organisations of that kind of nature. Sorry?
And
Repair Cafe. So I'm just trying to put across a more variable idea than this is the entire whole building is going to be an ECOE energy advice centre. I think there will be a lot of other things happening in there. I'd also like to say two more things. Sorry, Andy, just a second. One is, it's a 4-storey building. There's a basement as well, which works a bit damp at the moment, will be used for storage. And it's really big. The building is huge compared to where we were before. And the other great thing about it is it has a phenomenal footfall. People going past.
And did you want to?
I mean, so I raised these points in the discussions with regards to the transition to the charity, and the assurances I've got is that all the same things will be able to happen as happened previously. As far as I'm aware, there is going to be a kind of climate change awareness kind of installation display in the building, much as there was in the old Climate Action Hub. That's what I've been told. So, so that's what I'm expecting.
We're paying the lease.
Well, we being the £992,000 we've been granted by Wales and West Utilities because the Healthy Homes team applied for it. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Well, in effect,
enabling.
In effect, bad electricity companies who kind of treated their customers poorly, and that kind of thing.
Gas distribution.
And how long is the lease for?
2 years.
Thanks, Andy. Right. I thought I was going to. Yeah, there was going to be a discussion, so it was. So I'm pleased about that. Lovely. Right. Let's try and wrap this up. Awards, recognitions, and thanks. Have you got the job task now?
I first when you're screen.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, for those online. Yeah, Matthew Axe, operations manager at Healthy Homes. Very fortunate to have such a conscientious team, but there were a couple of outstanding people in 23, 24. So we normally make that award at one of our team meetings. But I can announce that the HEA of the year will be Julie Glover. She's an energy advisor in East Devon, and that's for her diligence and effectiveness throughout the year. And the special award.
What's an HEA?
Home Energy Advisor. And then the special award, we just look across the whole kind of wider team for standout individual, and this individual's come forward but stands out really because of their versatility and their enthusiasm, and he's actually in the room today, and it is Matt Hex. Yeah,
H4W.
Yeah, the special awards, and I'll try and cover for Harry. Yeah. So yeah, very unfortunate. Harry mentioned sad loss we had of Andy Cook. He was actually already nominated for the special award. So
yeah. So there's no awards tonight, right? It's just the recognition and announcement of it. That will have to wait to the opening of
the envelope.
Yes. Well, I was trying to say the opening of the energy centre, energy advice centre, which is I think that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
So lovely. Thank you so much. Thanks, and well done, Matthew and Julie, and winning their awards. That's it. 90 minutes. Any other business? Yes.
Well, I got one tiny bit of other business.
Okay.
Very boring compared to what we just heard. Very boring compared with the discussion about the new exciting new phase. But it goes back to a year ago when I and another person there commented on the lack of information we were getting about interest and the other payments that we get as members.
Right.
And a lot of that has been greatly improved. It's now they're flagged out as repayments or as interest or whatever. But I made the point then that previously we had a login to our own accounts, and it's now been explained to me why that was dropped. I wasn't aware of it being dropped at the time. But I would just like to suggest, propose that by way of keeping us informed, that members receive an annual statement. We haven't, that hasn't hitherto happened. It is actually in practice quite easy to lose track of one's own various inputs into charities or organizations such as this. And I usually keep pretty good records of what I'm doing financially, but I lose track of how much I've got in ECOE, how much is the loan, how much is the original investment.
Okay.
And an annual statement be very helpful.
Okay. Well, I don't have an answer for you right now, but I think that's something we can.
A question to Peter, our new secretary, by email very recently. So
fine. Okay. So Peter. Okay. So we've got the question, and I think we'll bring it up in one of the upcoming board meetings to discuss and kind of way forward. I hope it just makes sense. No. I totally can understand. I think I can understand where you're coming from. With PV, I mean, we're going to have to go out with PV4 for look for more investment, and I think there's an opportunity there for us to look again at how we manage our membership. If I'm not saying too much.
Well, we are actively discussing how we manage our membership currently. You know, what used to be via the website, we've changed to a different system. We're currently asking whether that works for us. I think that's not unreasonable to say. No. And you know, this is a useful piece of information for those discussions, I think. Yeah. So
how many members are there?
195 at the moment. People, you're all entitled and potentially even encouraged to withdraw if you would like to your interest, because that's part of our business model. We're intending to pay back 5% a year to our members of the original share investment. So some people have left from the original membership, but that's all part of the business model. But yeah, we're currently at 195.
Can I just say then that I think we have occasionally received encouragements to withdraw our original investment. And the only thing that bothered me about that is if I'm then no longer a member, that loses my chance to come to AGM and have a vote and so on. I think then we need to substitute a different non-investing form of membership that keeps us linked to the organisation that we originally launched.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to respond to that, Jen?
Yeah, I was just going to say, surely, and this, you know, it's good if it starts with surely. You can withdraw your original investment and buy into PV4. So you would still be a member and you would be investing in the new round. Is that right, Andy, or not? No.
I mean, yes. I mean, what I would say, all we're looking to do is reduce the amount of money we have borrowed, in effect. So if you wanted to reclaim part of your shareholding, that would also be an option.
So you would still be a member,
because it's not because we're a community benefit society. It's not one vote per share; it's one vote per member. So it doesn't matter how big your investment is.
But yeah, there's something we need to look at in how we manage it. But to Andy's point, the business model is set up to try and repay all of that capital that we raised with that original share. But we need to find a way of keeping people members, not members and engaged.
I'd just like to support Peter's suggestion.
Okay.
The directors might find it useful just to have an informal show of hands here as to whether the members present. Good idea.
Around the annual statement?
Yes.
And we could have a non-binding vote.
Yes.
Advisory vote.
Show of support.
Show of support. All right. Fine. We'd like a show of support for an annual statement on shareholding.
And perhaps a gradual move towards a nominal membership, so that people will continue to be members without necessarily.
Is this part of the discussion you've explained to Peter? Or
well, no, it isn't.
No, okay.
No, it's kind of springing from Andy was saying about the you want to kind of reduce that original investment so that we're not so much investors as just
Okay, let's go for a show of support for an annual statement and a mechanism to retain its members. Okay. Well, thank you. Good. Any other business from anyone? No. Great. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for your time coming to the AGM. Thank you to the people online. People who are here in person, there is some food at the back. Got some sandwiches, some salads for gluten-free, some more drinks, crisps, cookies and brownie. You're welcome to help yourselves. I'll call the meeting to a close. Thank you. Yeah, yes, I think they're outside the door. Actually.